Guys, this is Hayden. Today I'm checking out the 2026 Cedar Creek 383 FB. So let's take a look. All right, this is a big coach. So we're just kind of walking around the outside right now. Let me go to wide angle. That's how big this thing is. You can see you got the big windows. You can enjoy your destination. Cedar Creek also has a true gel coat, so that's just going to protect you against the sun a lot better. You have an outside LP connect, so you can plug your own grill in. Generous storage. Open this up and you can pretty much see, this can be my bed when I come to visit. A couple of AC adapters for outside TV, step above steps, just individually. And then of course the safety rail, which this came out about a year ago or so. Seems like that's when I started seeing them. You just kind of open it up like that, pull it down. Now you got a nice little handrail. And then when you're driving, that's magnetic right there, so that will kind of stick in, and then you can just put your pin back in. Very easy. Love those. You have your awning with LED lights underneath. Yeah, this is a beast. Go to your gutters on all four corners. Cedar Creeks are really nice. They're laminate walls, just better insulation. That's your Lippert ladder mount. You can get a Lippert ladder extendable for a couple $100 online. Backup camera prep. Of course, a little hitch for a hitch rack. Yeah, this thing is incredible. We're just going to do a little walk around before we go in. Here's your tankless hot water heater. Remember, those are propane only, so make sure you have plenty of propane when you go out. And I love this. Look at this control center. So, you got your obvious stuff like exterior water hose, easy access to a water filter, city water, black tank, and battery disconnect. You know me, I love the battery disconnect. But there's also a few little things that I don't think the average RVer is aware about. So first of all, you have direct access to your entire plumbing system here, so you can turn off, water lines and everything as you go. If you do experience a leak, it's just going to be easier to isolate it before you have to take it in. It comes with this little handy tool that you can put on there to screw in. But a lot of people don't know about these hydraulic room controls. So what's happening here is it's a hydraulic slide. So 3 of the slides are all going to be one button on the inside of the coach. And then there's one slide that's like a little electric one that just kind of pushes out. It's the wardrobe slide. What happens is when you have hydraulic slides, it takes quite a lot of battery power to move all those slides at once. So if you find yourself in a situation where maybe you don't have the truck with you and you're very low on battery and you have to hook up a battery box, that battery box might not be enough to open all the slides or close all the slides. So here you can actually turn on and off the slide operation. So let's say I had just this little measly battery box that I needed to hook up and I need to get my slides in because winter's coming and I need to get my RV out of the campsite, but I don't have my truck, I don't have enough battery power. So what I can do is I can come out here, turn these off, and then it'll just open one slide at a time and require a lot less battery power. It sounds a little complicated probably for people who aren't, in the RV world as much as, the rest of us. But it's one of those things where you won't realize how important it is until you truly, truly need it. And you don't want to be caught with your pants down around then. Here we have our battery access. It has detailed instructions on hooking up batteries, which, I just find that so helpful. A lot of these units, they come with instruction booklets nowadays, but a lot of times the booklets are just kind of like a broad spectrum booklet that talks about like all Keystone products, all Eddie Bauer products. But it's nice to know that Cedar Creek cares enough to actually give you specific instructions. Here we have the Kurt Helix series. This is just gonna absorb so much tension when you're driving. The tension's gonna be absorbed here rather than here. And you definitely want the tension going here and not here. This is just going to be something that's going to, maintain the longevity of your quality. It's going to feel smoother driving. A lot of people have really nice B&W hitches with standard pin boxes and they don't have a complaint. But once they try this, it's going to be hard to go back. Another thing a lot of people don't talk about is shims. So you want to have long shims on your pin box because if you get into a point where one day you might say, I really want to get rid of my B&W hitch and my, Helix or by Kurt or whatever hitch and pin box you have, and you might say one day, I want to go with the gooseneck. You know, I want the new Gen Y hitch. You know, it's all I got to do is put a ball in my bed, and I don't have to take up my entire truck bed with a lawnmower-sized fifth wheel hitch. Well, with a long shim like this, your options are just a lot more open as to what kind of pin box you can put on here. So with a long shim like this, I can put in the Gen Y hitch. I can put in all sorts of different kinds of pin boxes. It just really, really opens up your options. So be aware, like when you're looking for an RV, that you always want to have these long shims with 5 to 6 bolts on them. Not because it's, I mean, they make shallow shims, which, you know, they come to about here. They might have bolts across the top. You know, there's nothing wrong with that as far as usability goes. It's just, it's going to limit your options in the future because you never know what the future is going to hold. You never know, something might change. You might get a new truck, or you might, you know, gift your RV to, you know, a family member, or let them use it for a while. And they might only have a setup for, you know, a hitch ball, so for a goose adapter. With this, you can just have the option of taking this off and putting a Gen Y hitch on. Not the easiest thing in the world. Tech can do it fairly quickly, but the fact that you can do it is very important. Playing around with my camera here. Nice little storage here. We already looked at the pass-through storage. Nice big area. I imagine you could one day put a generator in here. You know, it's got the bolt-in panel, so it'd be easy to take out and adjust. And then just another storage with your inverter in there. Here's probably where you'd want to put like a battery bank if you were going to get really, really into solar. Highly recommend it. Leash latch. Good for dogs or runaway husbands. Here's your propane. Nice 2 big tanks. Yeah, that's pretty much everything I want to talk about on the outside. It is shatterproof G-glass door. So, I mean, it's not going to break, and it's solar reflective. Anything that could break this would break this. So it's the same durability. I love these Lippert latch heads. They're just easier to open the door. I don't know, something about, you know, delicately open these versus just pulling that out. Kind of feels like a fridge. It's just a little bit more comfortable. And now we're walking in. And of course, my favorite thing about this unit is the mud room. Gosh, I mean, think of how many times you tracked mud or dirt through your RV. Now you have a little mud room where you can keep your shoes. You can sit there to put your shoes on. It's just really nice to have a separate room for all that. Here's the Harry Potter closet. Also good for washer dryer hookups. You can do side to side. Should be prepped for a vent cap somewhere, probably hidden behind the wall. Your RV technician specialist can help you with that. Got some clips here for like hanging clothes, maybe some jackets. And then a plethora of storage. And here's a QR code where you can scan for owner information. Talk to you about the anti-lock brake system. And of course, you know, Cedar Creek, they know what they're doing. They've been doing it for a while. No touchscreens. A lot of people have complained about touchscreens in the past. You know, if one little button on your touchscreen goes out, everything goes out. But, you know, if one of my buttons here goes out, well, that's just one button, so nothing to worry about. I really like that. I like, you know, kind of taking, like there's an old saying, it's kind of like, you know, there's a function over cosmetics. And I think touchscreens are very sexy. You know, it's very popular. It's very modern. Everyone kind of knows how to touch a touchscreen, drag, drop, resize. But the thing is an RV is, you know, an adventure. So having a touchscreen when you're in the middle of southern Oklahoma and it breaks down just might not be ideal. All right, enough of that. Here we are in the living room. You can see we have a very modern design. Big, big island with a little glass washer if you like a pint after work. Easy to use waterfall sink, as well as upgraded faucet. I like that they put a little extra kind of nook here. You could put books in there, maybe even coffee pot if you wanted this to be your little espresso bar. You know, you could probably do that over here, but if you have pots and pans over here all the time, it'd just be nice to have maybe the coffee maker over here. You could do whatever you want, really. Maybe like a little stereo. And then, of course, some nice storage underneath. It's a very nice addition. You can't have enough storage when you have an RV. Then here, the table. You have like your silverware, so you can just keep your silverware next to your table. It does extend. You just lift and pull this out. 2 chairs, and then it also comes with an ottoman. The ottoman also has storage underneath. You can pull that ottoman out and put it over by the couch or wherever you feel like using it. Then you can just make this a 2-seater. Either way, killing as many birds with one stone. For 2026, the Cedar Creek front bath does not have theater seats. It has recliners, actually. I imagine that's probably because most Cedar Creek customers are looking to full-time. This way they can have a little bit more control over where they put their recliners. They work great, just simple manual recliners. Remember, electric recliners at this point are all 110. So that means if you get electric recliners in an RV, there's a good chance you'll have to either have shore power or a generator running to get them to recline. And that can be quite problematic. Nice little blackout blinds here. Looks like they're on every window. Gotta love these big windows. Just imagine looking out on the beach. Looking out at the forest. I'm just looking at a parking lot right now, but you can dream. Lots of AC adapters on the side. This is a trifold sofa. Makes into a very, very big bed. It'll come out to about here-ish. So this is something that even I, who is 6'4", could sleep on quite comfortably. Lots of cabinet space, and of course your hidden pantry. Just extra storage, extra storage, extra storage. Looks like they come with a little router here just to help get you started. Remotes. There's your tire pressure sensor module. So once you hook that up, you'll be alerted when your tires are a little low. Nice size TV and electric fireplace. Creates a fake fire graphic than just pretty much a space heater. Blows hot air out. Yeah, there's a lot of storage in here. There's a lot to go over. Looks like 3 15K air conditioners on the roof, all ducted together to keep the thing cooler. You have your big, big oven, as well as microwave. Look at the size of this thing. Yeah. And then that's real cast iron on your 3-burner stove. Very, very deep, wide cabinets. A lot of times they have a lot of cabinets, but they're so small. There's not a whole lot you can do with a bunch of small cabinets, but you really can do anything with a bunch of big cabinets. Here you can see their solar package. So this one's coming with a 200-watt solar panel. 200 watts is quite a bit of solar. A lot of people don't know, with your inverted fridge and 12-volt appliances. If you get a lithium battery or 2, you could pretty much run your 12-volt appliances all day and night, provided you have some good sun exposure. I call these the baby bath sink just because they're so big. Extra little nook on top of the fridge. Maybe spices or just snacks. And of course a residential refrigerator, which is inverted, so yes, you can run this off the battery. A couple of freezer drawers. Very nice. Here we have temperature control. They make it very easy for you. You can control your fan with the remote, and then your air conditioning with your thermostat here. I like how it consolidates all 3 air conditioner temperatures, pretty much telling you where everything is. That way you can adjust at your leisure. Gotta love this little handrail here. I mean, a lot of older customers are gonna appreciate being able to go up and down the stairs with little help. Of course, your master bedroom with an RV king. Little above side tables above the window with USB and USB-C adapters. I love the fact that they went to USB-C because nowadays they don't sell the charger with the cable anymore. They separate everything. Nice drawers here. More AC adapters and USB-C as well as USB. Small little television here next to a window. I'll be looking out the window. And then here's, of course, our front bath. The main event of this Cedar Creek. So his and her sinks. You got a sink for her, a sink for her. Everyone's happy. It's a little dirty. We'll wash that for you. This thing just got off the road. You have your upgraded shower with 4 heads. Look at that. Gotta love the nice designer touches, and of course a little seat. Being that I'm 6'4", a seat in my shower is kind of a must-have. Hello. Here is your closet space. So they have this really cool designer background. Kind of reminds me of like a forest texture, but it's a lot more modern. There's your hanging rack. And then here's the other closet. They have a nice pull-out laundry hamper, which has little handles on it, so you can just grab it and go. You have washer-dryer hookups in here. You don't have to go too far, just be going downstairs, but the fact that you can just carry it all together is pretty nice. And lots of big drawers, nice mirror, lots of counter space. Look at all this. Hair dryers, curling irons, everything is going to be able to fit there. Lots of hip space around the toilet, and furnace vents in here as well. Medicine cabinet. There's your module for your tankless hot water heater. Lots of space for toothpaste, floss, electric toothbrushes. You have a protected outlet here. A little hamper for maybe towels. Yeah, we are looking good on this Cedar Creek. Very, very nice. It's always an honor to check out these things. Well, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me today. This is the Cedar Creek 383 FB front bath. Lot of incredible features to offer. By the way, they have 6'10" haul slides. So that means being 6'4", I can still kind of, fit here without having to duck. That's pretty nice. Ceiling fan, perfect for Arizona. It is our state bird, if you didn't know about that. Aside from that, guys, I really appreciate you hanging out with me. Let me know what you thought in the comments, and have a great day.